All right, thank you, Alexandra. The coronavirus pandemic amplifies the affordable housing crisis that people are facing in our area. Andronica Morris, the executive director of Housing NOLA, is joining us now with details on resources, including a new radio show that is designed to help people struggling through this crisis. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and please tell us more about the new radio show.
So we're partnering with WBOK here locally in New Orleans to launch a show called Put Housing First. It's going to air every Tuesday at 12 o'clock, including today. And we're going to be talking about the issues around housing, why we need our policymakers, our leaders to put housing first, and what does that mean? How does that work? And how do people get help?
Sure. And of course, the affordable housing crisis is something we've been talking about for years now. This pandemic has exacerbated a lot of problems, including issues with housing.
It has. It was a wreck on a wreck in our case here in New Orleans. We were already in dire crisis, and then in rolls coronavirus, the COVID-19 virus, that requires housing in order to solve it. And unfortunately, that's not what's happened. We have not put housing first. We have not made sure that everyone can guarantee that they have access to safe, decent housing. In the previous segment, you heard Chef Kevin talking about continuing to wash your hands. You can't do that if you don't own your own home. And if you've lost your home or are doubled up, have too many people in your house, and just even what the kids have to do with, learning at home, that all requires a safe, decent, well-equipped and well-appointed home. And not everyone in New Orleans can guarantee that.
Sure. And in the first round of help from the government, of course, we saw assistance for renters. We're seeing some more possibly coming their way. Hasn't been enough assistance, though.
No, absolutely not. It's a down payment that we've only just seen. I mean, it's remarkable that it took 9 months for the first significant housing dollars to hit. And now it's moving a bit faster, but we've got to make sure that not only are we stabilizing renters, paying back rent, paying utilities, we can't have folks bogged down in debt. We also have to make sure that homeowners are also protected. And we have to make sure that these programs are well run. That's something that we've also seen, unfortunately, a real struggle with, because a lot of our policymakers don't prioritize, don't destigmatize the affordable housing crisis. You have people running programs in a very laissez-faire way and thinking, well, we want to make sure we don't give them too much. It's a pandemic. People have lost their jobs, and no one should be homeless right now during a pandemic, because it will continue. There have been scientific studies done during this pandemic that actually show that homelessness and housing insecurity and people doubling up lead to increased spread of coronavirus and increased death.
Yeah, definitely some major impacts here. You mentioned the other side, help for renters, help for homeowners. Talk more about Own the Crescent. I know you guys have some help for landlords.
Yeah, so there's also some real issues, like I said, about making sure these programs are run correctly. There are a lot of assistance programs that need landlords they can actually guarantee that they can pay. And we don't have a lot of landlords trying to take advantage of this. In New Orleans, unfortunately, because of systemic racism, you have a lot of homeowners, a lot of property owners who've inherited property that's been bogged down by code enforcement liens and taxes, and they can't get out from under. People whose property was damaged by Katrina, and they have been swindled by contractors and have not been able to rehab it. Own the Crescent is going to provide them with access to some funding, not a whole lot of money, but a little bit of money to rehab their property and hopefully rent it out to one of these families who needs a place to stay and can pay.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so one more time, we can tune into the show at noon today on WBOK.
We turn in today at noon on WBOK, exactly.
All right, going to be some very important information there. You're always doing great work in this area. Andronica, thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Good morning.
All right. And this Own the Crescent website is designed to help people find affordable properties. It also helps landlords, as you heard, get their properties fixed up and rented. So for a link to that, you can head to WWLTV.com.